My name's Lavonne Holvik, and I'm here to talk about my art piece, which is At Day's End. At Day's End was they're all clay, and they started out, I started with a barrel for the body, and then gradually, then I worked on the legs, and then attached them to the barrel. And then I worked on the head and the neck, and the minute I saw the neck attached, and it just happens. It's nothing that I planned, except that I knew that it was going to go down. The minute I took away all the structures, I knew what it looked like. It looked like End of the Trail. And End of the Trail is a sculpture that was done by, I believe his name is James Earl Fraser, and it was done about 1919, well, no, earlier than that. He was just 17 years old when he did it. He was born in 1875. And my thinking was, why would an 17-year-old come up with a sculpture like that? It was, when he did it, it was twice life-size. It was a plaster, and 17 years old. And there's a story behind it. His father was an engineer, and his father worked for the railroads. And one of his tasks before James was born was to go to a site where the 7th Cavalry Regiment had fought under George Armstrong Custer. And their job was to pick up remnants or artifacts from that regiment. All the military things were to be removed from that field. And I'm sure as a young man or a youngster, he probably heard many tales about this. But the fact that it was the Indians' point of view is even more interesting, I think. But the minute I saw this, I knew what this was, because I, as a child, saw this also in just about every gift store or every souvenir shop had End of the Trail memorabilia, whether it be End of the Trail sculpture with a thermometer stuck in it, or a necklace, or whatever. End of the Trail was exceedingly popular in the 1940s. So this is End of the Day. And to me, it kind of represents the fact that the coyotes are losing their habitat, and also the Indians. So I chose, because I was, as a child, I was, when I would go to sleep at night, I lived out in the Yakima Valley. There were coyotes, and I could hear them howling at night. And it was both an eerie sight, and sound, and an eerie, and also a comforting sound too. So the coyote is familiar to me, and it is comforting to me to know that that image is a warm image to me. So what I did here is I borrowed, and I firmly believe that nothing is ever created originally, that you always borrow. So I borrowed from Fraser. I borrowed from the sunset, because I've used sunset colors here to represent that it is the end of the day. We're going from the hot first colors of sunset down to the dark black purple colors of sunset. And then I felt that they were not complete. And what I did is, on the finish, is I used a technique I had not used before, and that's a sponge. It's a sponge technique to apply the glaze with. And so I sponged on these colors, and that's the reason they are so very mottled. So that was a new technique for me, but another borrowed technique. So then I went to and found petroglyphs that were from this area. And these are all Western. Some of them are Southwestern, but most of them are Northwestern. There is the Alaskan mermaid here. There is this whale within a sea lion here. There's an interesting mouse. I've never seen that mouse before, and I don't. Now, some of these petroglyphs are on cliffs. Some of them are in the water, actually, up near Bella-Coola, up on the coast of Vancouver and up above Vancouver. Some of them are actually in the water. Now, some of them have been preserved. The ones along the Columbia River, which is, I'm not sure if you can see it here. The most famous one is She Who Watches. And it's a very famous piece, and it was moved up because the Columbia River now has 12 different dams on it. And those dams raise the river some 500 feet up. So they're protected. So this, to me, it represents sort of maybe the end of my childhood, the things that I knew as a child, the things that, well, they mean a lot to me, but there's also other things that mean a lot to me too. But this, it was a very satisfying piece to do. and one that has been done for a while. I saved it for a special exhibit where it would really fit in. Thank you.